And it is the Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Weinstein, Uma Thurman relationship during the production of Kill Bill 1 and 2. And to me, this all came out with Uma Thurman doing a New York Times article, and it's titled, "This is Why Uma Thurman is Angry." And it goes into this long, very drawn-out story of just probably like 2 to 3 years worth of hell that Uma Thurman was going through. She didn't say that the whole production was like this, but she says there were certain instances that occurred with her being sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein, but surprise, surprise, that he assaulted another woman.
No surprise there.
And so we were kind of like, I was like, oh wow, it's another story about how she was assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. But then as I got further and further, it starts talking about her relationship, how it used to be really buddy-buddy with Quentin Tarantino, and then it kind of just fell apart towards the tail end of making Kill Bill Volume 2. And that was the thing that I was just furious about, because I don't think a lot of people are talking about this in the way that they should, because a lot of the articles I see are not talking about the Quentin Tarantino part. They're mostly just saying, oh, Harvey Weinstein, another sexual assault case against Harvey Weinstein. Now this one's with Uma Thurman.
But this story basically goes against what Quentin Tarantino had to say about his experience with Miramax and Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
Previously, which I do think we did talk about on the show.
Yes, we
talked about him like disowning Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, when the whole entire allegation started coming out against Harvey Weinstein, I remember it was Quentin Tarantino being one of the first people to be like,
fuck this guy.
Fuck this company, fuck this guy, I'm out.
Yeah.
And this article and Uma Thurman's kind of interview that she did kind of twists that around as being like more damage control than actual...
a legitimate like point of view.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, because that when he said that, then it was like his whole thing was, I didn't know this stuff was going on, and now that I do, I'm not working with these people anymore. And it appears from Uma Thurman's story that he's known about this for quite some time.
Yeah, it's because I don't want to go into the whole article. The whole entire article is quite long, but mostly it just talks about that Harvey Weinstein, and she said the classic robe, where he has the robe with nothing under it, came out of the bathroom and started like showing her stuff that she didn't want, and that eventually she had to kind of like push him off and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck off me. And that she immediately went to Quentin Tarantino about it, and Quentin Tarantino kind of was like, oh, he's a weirdo, but he's harmless type of thing. But then apparently Quentin Tarantino confronted Harvey Weinstein about it, but nothing really kind of occurred from it.
Yeah.
And then...
which, I mean, that point right there where he goes and confronts Weinstein, that means that he was fully aware of what was going on. He wouldn't have gone there to confront him about it if he wasn't aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
That's what knocks down the point that he made previously a couple months ago.
Then there was that, and then there was another point where Uma Thurman says that she eventually was still being like, nothing as severe as the first time, but still was kind of being like really anxious and weird around Harvey Weinstein. And
because he's a creep.
Yeah.
And she didn't, I mean, anytime that you, I mean, I'm not speaking from experience, but just from like knowledge of psychology, anytime that you're abused or anything like that, normally if you're ever stuck in that situation, even if nothing's going to happen,
yeah, she's stuck with this guy for months because
you feel like it's going to happen again, whether it does or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. But she pretty much like straight up told Harvey Weinstein that you keep doing this shit, like you're done. I mean, it's gonna get out, like,
and it has.
I'm not, yeah. And look at it. 15. It took 15 years of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, how many years was he doing it before?
Before then, yeah.
Awful. But she pretty much said your career's gonna end if you keep doing this shit. And then he pretty much was like, well, yeah, well, I have the power to end your career if I want to. So you're gonna kind of shut the hell up about this. Yeah. Then she apparently went to Quentin Tarantino again, and Quentin Tarantino didn't really do anything about it. So there's that little small part. that that Quentin Tarantino didn't really. To be honest, I attribute this almost to like the Joe Paterno and the what was that fucking asshole's name from Penn State?
Oh, geez. Jerry Sandusky.
Jerry Sandusky, where people were telling him, and then apparently he was going and saying like, "Hey, what are you doing? This shit's not cool." And this shit's wrong. You can't be doing this.
Yeah, Joe Paterno went to people at Penn State, but he never went public with those accusations, which is kind of the situation that Quentin Tarantino's in. It doesn't mean that I think that Joe Paterno or Quentin Tarantino did the right thing in this situation. I think they should have gone public in both cases.
Yeah, and it's just awful, and I just think that, yeah, what the fuck is Quentin Tarantino doing when he's making this female empowerment movie? That's what he constantly would talk about, how this is a female empowerment movie, Kill Bill, which I love Kill Bill 1 and 2.
I'm not a big fan of this film anyway.
I think... Of his films, or just...
No, just Kill Bill.
Just Kill Bill. Yeah, see, I love Kill Bill 1 and 2, but it really does kind of change it a little bit. I mean, I'm still able to separate art from the artist in a way, but... So then there's that. This whole entire, like, sexual abuse scandal that Quentin Tarantino didn't really do much shit about. He just kind of... Because he was kind of buddy-buddy with Harvey Weinstein while he was making all these movies.
Harvey Weinstein made his career. I mean, almost all the movies that he has been in or has filmed have been produced by Miramax.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened was this whole car crash scene. There's a scene in Kill Bill Volume 2 where she is in this blue convertible, this really old-looking blue convertible, driving down this dirt road really fast, and it's a cool-looking scene. But then now I'm finding out the background of it, which was that Quentin Tarantino forced Uma Thurman to do this scene. And
which, according to the recommendations of everybody else who was working on the film, suggested that a stunt person do it.
Because
her face was not going to be visible anymore.
No, her face was not going to be visible. It was all just a car with a camera mounted to the back of it, and that
they wanted her to drive 40 miles an hour so that her hair would blow in the wind properly.
And there was that, and she didn't feel safe in this car. She constantly said, like,
I'm not a stunt driver.
I'm not a stunt driver. I don't think I can do this. I don't want to do this. This scares me. This car, like, whenever you think of Uma Thurman, you kind of think that, I don't know why. I just always attribute her as a badass, mostly because of Kill Bill. But you realize that she is just a person.
Yeah, everybody in these films is just a person.
Yeah,
every
and
actor.
So what happened was she told Quentin Tarantino that I don't want to do this film, this scene, not this. Yeah. I don't want to do this specific scene myself. Can you please get a stunt driver? People are telling me this car doesn't feel safe. I don't feel safe. And Quentin Tarantino was pissed. And she said, like most directors would be if you said no to them. But he said, look, I promise it's safe. You're going to be okay. But the thing is, I need you to at least do 40 miles an hour in this car so that your hair looks right, or else I'm just going to make you do it again. And she just kept constantly saying it. And because her friendship with Quentin Tarantino, I guess she didn't demand it. Like, she could have, I'm sure, said, I demand that I don't do this stunt.
Well, she ended up doing it, one, because she felt pressured, and two, because she did, at the time, trust him to some degree.
Yeah. And it turns out that she wrecked it. There was old articles about how there was a crash on set and that Uma Thurman had to go to the hospital during the time.
Yeah.
But nothing was really there was no pictures, there was nothing. It just kind of said, I think they might have shown the car.
Yeah.
And so she said, I want to see the footage. This is back when it happened. Yeah. I want to see the footage of the car, of the crash.
Yeah.
And they refused to let her see it. And this is this like goofy cover-up of Quentin Tarantino to try and hide that he pretty much forced the actor into this dangerous situation. And that's not the job of the director. The job of the director is to get the best performance out of the actor and the scenes, not to put your actors in danger doing so, especially at the time that Uma Thurman considered him a good friend. And when this crash happened, she wanted to see it. They said no. And then eventually, all right, we'll let you see it, but you have to pretty much sign a waiver that says you're not going to use this against us. And she said, no, fuck no. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not quoting her, but she said no.
But that would be stupid from a legal standpoint.
Legal standpoint, that'd be stupid.
Yeah.
And so then after the car crash, and this is like what's the most heartbreaking thing. I want to see if I have the article, but I wonder if I can find the exact quote. Because after the car crash, she says that she got this kind of like crappy apology from Quentin Tarantino. She said, I think, half-assed apology. And I think she got one from Weinstein too, saying we're sorry we put this in there. And the best part about it was Ethan Hawke, who was married to her at the time, like kind of went in and he went up to Quentin Tarantino and pretty much he told her in a like serious pissed off manner that he let Uma down as a director and a friend, and this is like, she's a great actress, she's not a stunt driver, and you know that. And he was really upset with him, and this is what Quentin Tarantino said, I'm sorry, and I'm asking for your forgiveness. And it just, this is what the actual article says. 2 weeks after the crash, after trying to see the car and footage of the incident, she had her lawyer send a letter to Miramax summarizing the event and reserving the right to sue. Miramax offered to show her the footage if she signed a document releasing them of any consequences of my future pain and suffering. She says she didn't. And she said she had fucked up knees. Like, this is just fucked up. This is, like, heartbreaking. But the thing is that she said that throughout the whole entire thing, after not only just the Harvey Weinstein accusation that she told Quentin about, but then after the thing with the car crash, she said that she went as like a co-maker of the movie and being involved in the creative process to feeling like a broken tool. Yeah. Like, and I just think that, and then you can see that Uma Thurman should have blown up after that movie. That movie was big, but she really didn't. Yeah. She never really made it out of that.
Like, the next thing I remember happening after that is Batman and Robin. Was that the next thing that she was in after that?
I thought Batman and Robin was after Kill Bill.
That's what I mean. After Kill Bill.
No. I mean, sorry. I thought
it was before.
Yeah, I don't know. Batman and Robin, I thought, was in like 97. I could be wrong.
I mean, I could be wrong.
I'm almost positive Batman and Robin.
Just look up on
1997 was Batman and Robin, and I think Kill Bill was like in the 2000s, like 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Am I right? Oh, I'm so good. 2003.
But when was her next like big name project after that?
After
Kill Bill 2.
Let's see. I think it was like My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Which is a nothing project.
Yeah, that movie.
When was that? How many years passed before she had another job?
Let's see. Nothing as big as that. I'll tell you that much. Kill Bill. She did a movie called Be Cool. She did a movie called Prime, which I think Prime was like. She did The Producers, a movie called Mother. Nothing that reached that level of success. At least that I would say. I don't see anything.
Producers is pretty big, though.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big job.
Yeah, I know, but she was... I don't know. She just never really got to that level of stardom because she was really talented. It just never really...
Never really took off for her. After that point, I was just wondering if like there's evidence to show that she was like blackballed.
No, I don't think she was blackballed. I just don't think she ever. I mean, either the movie was so big that she never reached to that level again, or she just got crappier roles. I don't know. I hope to God she wasn't blackballed. That'd be awful. I don't think Quentin Tarantino had any involvement with that, but it seemed like after Kill Bill, their relationship just crumbled.
Yeah, I would say that. I wouldn't say that Quentin Tarantino would go out of his way to ruin her career, but Harvey Weinstein.
But he never put her back in another movie.
Yeah, I say that's probably more personal than it is.
Yeah,
like trying to ruin her career.
No, I don't. Yeah, as I said, I don't.
And
think
that might have been two-sided or even all her decision.
Possible. Yeah, she might not.
I mean, why would you want to work with somebody that put your life at risk and wasn't really backing you up when you said that you'd been sexually assaulted or?
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to work with that person anymore.
Harvey Weinstein assaulted me, but that didn't kill me, she says. What really got me about the crash was that it was a cheap shot. I had been through so many rings of fire by that point. I had really always felt a connection to the greater good in my work with Quentin, and most of what I allowed to happen to me and what I participated in was kind of like a horrible mud wrestle with a very angry brother. But at least I had some say, you know? This goes into the part about people where she was being like spit on and like choked by Quentin Tarantino. Like she had an involvement with it. She knew that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
She didn't feel disempowered by any of it
scene.
until she didn't feel disempowered by it. She kind of thought like, okay, this is part of the movie, but I don't feel like crappy about it. But once the crash happened is when she's like, you know what? Was I a creative partner, or was I just being used was I just being used by a friend?
Yeah.
And it said, personally, this is the last thing that she said. It was, personally, it has taken me 47 years to stop calling people who are mean to you in love with you. It took a long time because I think that as little girls, we were conditioned to believe that cruelty and love somehow have a connection, and that is like the sort of era that we need to evolve out of. Yes.
That makes sense.
That's perfect. Mm-hmm. That's what should happen. And we need to get the fuck out of this thing. And so that's pretty much like that whole story with Uma Thurman, and now this is kind of coming out that a couple other actors, actresses, and directors are kind of saying, this is bullshit, Quentin Tarantino, what the hell's up with this?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're trying to, I don't think they're trying to ruin Quentin Tarantino, but Jessica Chastain is like tweeting nonstop about how awful this is. And I think Jessica Chastain looks up to Uma Thurman. Then there's people like Judd Apatow, who is kind of saying, like, this is fucked up because there are other allegations that Harvey Weinstein was sexually assaulting people on the set and you did nothing. Like, clearly you had to have known something about this.
Yeah, and you claimed earlier that you didn't.
And so I think that's kind of... we're going to see how Quentin Tarantino bounces back from this. But you made a good statement earlier before the show started that you don't think that
Star Trek movie is going to happen now.
He's going to get a little bit of shit. This is not probably going to blow over as well as I hope it. Like, I hope this doesn't blow over. I think
I also, you mentioned something about him making a movie about Roman Polanski.
He's making a movie about not about the murders, the Charles Manson murders, but it's set in the time period, and that's the backdrop of it, with like Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate being played by like Margot Robbie, and
it's just stuff that's happening in that time period. It's like the big things that are happening, like Roman Polanski being outed as a pedophile.
No, Roman Polanski's wife was murdered by the Manson family. Sharon Tate was murdered by the Manson cult. What? And so it's...
Am I thinking of the right guy? Is Roman Polanski the guy that moved to France or something?
Yeah, Roman Polanski was the guy who raped and sodomized a 13-year-old girl and then fled like a little girl. He fled to France to avoid prosecution. But that was way down the line.
That was after this.
Yeah, that was, I think, in either the early 80s or the late 80s, early 90s, the whole Roman Polanski, like, the little girl bullshit.
Yeah.
But he's making the film about Roman Polanski because Roman Polanski was very involved with the Charles Manson murder because his pregnant wife was murdered by the Manson cult.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Sharon Tate was his wife.
I didn't know that it was Sharon Tate who was murdered.
Yeah, Sharon Tate was put in a couple of... they were married, and she was put in a couple of Roman Polanski's early films, and Roman Polanski has had a shitty life. Half of the shitty life, though, was because of his own doing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was a Holocaust survivor. His wife was murdered really young with their child. And it just, by the Manson family, it was awful. The movie's not about
him.
But Roman Polanski has an involvement in that story, I'm assuming. I just think that when I read this, I wanted to talk about this just because I think it's something that deserves to be talked about. And I think that Quentin Tarantino deserves to be held somewhat accountable for this bullshit that was going on. And him just sitting there saying, all my proceeds of the next film are part of my proceeds are going to go to this and this and this. I'm separating myself from Harvey Weinstein. I had no idea that this shit was going on. Clearly, that was bullshit, and that was just...
well, I don't think the charitable donations were bullshit, but
No, I don't think that was
knowing
charitable.
anything.
Him not knowing anything
was
is
bullshit.
him just doing a PR spin and trying to do some damage control before something really fucked up happened to him, and he started getting roped into it. I don't think he's like one of those people that was sending people to Harvey Weinstein to get like molested and fucking assaulted by him. I don't believe that, but I do believe that you had some involvement. You clearly knew that something was going on, and I think that you should be held somewhat accountable. I'm not saying ruin Quentin Tarantino's career. I fucking love Quentin Tarantino, but this is rough for me to say, and I don't think as a person you should force anybody to do anything they don't want to do, especially whenever she was being told by multiple people that this was not a situation that she should have been driving in. So that's my 2 cents. Do you have anything else you want to add about that, Adam?
No, I mean, that's all basically how I feel about it as well.
That fucking pisses me off really, really bad. I felt terrible. And Uma Thurman's not like my favorite actress of all time, but I read that whole article and I just was like it felt like getting hit in the gut. It just was really rough to do.
Yeah, you said that's in the New York Times. She posted that.
New York Times
and
article.
She wrote it herself.
She didn't write it, but she was being interviewed, so it's almost the whole thing is being quoted by her.
Well, I was wondering because like if you went on Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever you fucking use.
Yeah, you can
and
look
just
up,
Google New York Times Uma Thurman. It's probably,
you can type in just Uma Thurman and it'll come up. But the title of the article is This is why Uma Thurman is so angry, but it's by New York Times. That's where I think that's the best one because that goes into all the details of the Quentin Tarantino stuff, the Harvey Weinstein stuff. Because if you type in Uma Thurman, some of them you only get the part about one or the other. But this has the whole story. So I think the New York Times article is the one you should be checking out.